Good morning. So good to see all of you. Welcome to the First Religious Society Unitarian Universalist here in Newburyport, Massachusetts. My name is Reverend Rebecca Bryan, and I am honored to be the minister of this beloved congregation. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. We come together each week at FRS, both online and in person, committed to love, peace, and justice. Our mission and our invitation to everyone is to come as you are, journey together in love, act with courage, transform our world. If you're worshiping with us this morning online and you'd like to access the morning's order of service, please click on the link just below the live stream. I'd like to draw your attention to the many different activities and events happening here at the church listed in your order of service. Especially to those of us that are here in person this morning, everyone is invited to have ice cream after the service. It's usually soup. Today it's ice cream, not to be missed. You'll be getting a preview of our annual campaign. You'll get a chance to meet our campaign chairs, ask your questions, and just enjoy some good and yummy treats and fellowship together. As Alan Seal, our guest musician and member, writes in the music notes this morning's service, which is the last of a month that we have been creating space and focus on grief, is designed as a mini retreat. It is to close this exploration of the month. It is an hour set aside for you and created for rest, reflection, introspection, and healing. The music and the words were chosen with the intention of creating a sense of a journey starting from wherever you are in your relationship to grief and loss at this moment, to finding a sense of acceptance, embrace, and making peace with yourself and what is. I invite you to surrender and allow yourself to take this journey. Thank you. It is good to be together.
Dew evaporates, writes Zen poet Kobayashi Isa, and all the world is dew, so dear, so precious, so fleeting. Isa wrote this upon the death of his daughter. Dew evaporates, and all the world is dew, so dear, so precious, so fleeting.
Please join me in reading aloud the chalice lighting. The words are printed in your order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace, representing 2 places on earth we lift up and remember as a sacred encounter with our world. We know that there are untold numbers of places on earth that need peace. These 2 we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, I will invite you to respond by saying peace, Sol, Shalom. Our first candle this morning is lit for Ukraine and its people, where 1 year ago last week, the Russian-Ukraine war began. We pray for peace to prevail, for those who have lost loved ones to find some comfort, and for the ongoing violence to end. To this we respond, peace, Sol, Shalom. Our second candle this morning is lit for New York City, where there has been anti-Semitism displayed outside of a theater where the Broadway play Parade was being produced. Parade is an important story that tells the true story of Leo Frank and the dangers of hatred and anti-Semitism. We stand in opposition to anti-Semitism and in support of our Jewish members, neighbors, family, and friends. To this we respond, peace, Sol, Shalom. Please rise in body or in spirit, and let's join together in our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit. please remain standing and let's join our voices in our affirmation of faith, followed by the doxology. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Please be seated. Each Sunday, in addition to our candles of peace and doxology and chalice lighting and affirmation of faith, we lift up the joys and the sorrows of our beloved faith community. This morning, Holly Cashman, our pastoral care associate, will light candles as I read what has been shared with me in advance of today's service. This morning, we also have our children remaining with us for this portion of the service, which is a particularly blessed thing. It is. And we'll sing them to Young Church when we're finished with this and the prayer. We light a candle in blessed memory of Merrill Molesca Wilbur, whose memorial service will be held here on Saturday at 2 p.m. It will be in person and online. We light another candle of blessed memory for Jay McCarthy's dear friend, Jack Engler. Jack passed away on February 18th. He was comfortable and at peace. We also light a candle of blessed memory and deep love for Rachel Anderson, Kevon Kozati, and Charlotte, who share the difficult news that Kevon's father, Charlotte's grandfather, Saeed Ahmad Kozati, passed away unexpectedly on February 15th. He had lived with dementia for more than a decade and was 93 years old. He was a remarkable man who achieved great professional and financial success in his native Iran. In the early 1980s, he and his wife sacrificed all they had so their family could escape to the United States during the revolution, and Kevon and his brothers could be safe. This is how he is described. He was smart, silly, kind, and generous with a razor-sharp wit. He could disarm anyone and persuade them with a few well-placed jokes or funny anecdotes. He made sacrifices in his life that few can. He lost everything and worked incredibly hard to make sure we all had a chance at a decent life. He was a great man. We also light a candle of joy for Ray Wilson and his birthday and all those who are celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and other occasions. And we light a final candle as we do each Sunday, representing all the joys and all the sorrows, though unspoken, are held in just as much love and care. I invite you now into a spirit of prayer and meditation as I share words written by Courtney Walsh. Take these into your heart. Dear human, you've got it all wrong. You didn't come here to master unconditional love. That is where you came from and where you will return. You came here to learn personal love, universal love, messy, sweaty, crazy, broken, whole love, infused with divinity, lived through the grace of stumbling, demonstrated through the beauty of messing up, often. You didn't come here to be perfect. You already are. You came here to be gorgeously human, flawed and fabulous, and then to rise again into remembering. But unconditional love? Stop telling that story. Love, in truth, doesn't need any other adjectives. It doesn't require modifiers. It doesn't require the condition of perfection. It only asks that you show up and do your best, that you stay present and feel fully, that you shine and fly and laugh and cry and hurt and heal and fall and get back up and play and work and live and die as you. It's enough. It's plenty. Amen. Let's sing our young children to young church with hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace.
The generosity of our community is an essential ministry that supports the work of the church both in Newburyport and beyond. Each week, 50% of the Sunday offering, not designated as a pledge, goes to a local community partner engaged in important efforts to transform our region. The February collection goes to support the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence. The Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence brings together over 90 organizations across the state, including First Religious Society, to end the epidemic of gun violence by advocating for improved policies around gun safety and partnering with community organizations working to end violence in their neighborhoods. In order to give online, please use the link in your order of service or below the live stream. You can also make a contribution by text, and of course, you can always mail a check to the church as well. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received. Please rise in body or spirit and join voices in hymn number 18, What Wondrous Love. Please be seated. A reading called Watching My Friend Pretend Her Heart Isn't Breaking by Rosemary Watola Trauma. On Earth, just a teaspoon of neutron star would weigh 6 billion tons. 6 billion tons. The equivalent weight of how much railway it would take to get a third of the way to the sun. It's the collective weight of every animal on Earth times 3. 6 billion tons sounds impossible until I consider how it is to swallow grief. Just a teaspoon and one might as well have consumed a whole neutron star. How dense it is. How it carries inside it a memory of collapse. How difficult it is to move then. How impossible to believe that anything could lift that weight. There are many reasons to treat each other with tenderness. One is the sheer miracle that we are here together at all on a planet surrounded by dying stars. Another reason is we cannot see what anyone else has swallowed. to heal the homesick soul. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the homesick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my hopes in vain. But then the great, great Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the homesick soul. Sometimes I feel discouraged and think my life's in vain. But then the great, great Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the homesick
a reading entitled I Want My Grief by Peg Reynolds. I want my grief to be brilliant, fast, and gone, like Mozart or Stevie Ray, like fireworks, born, flash, ooh, ah, okay, done. Let's go. I want my grief to be brave. Hurts more now, heals faster, Grandma said, pouring salt on my skinned knee. I want to stand up to grief, stand down like the tiny man, big tank in Tiananmen Square. Because if I am brave, bold, salty, open enough, the tank, the bleeding, the tears will stop sooner, I tell myself. But grief laughs, humbles me. I lose keys, break cups, get lost. Ask at the CarMax, why are you selling this car? I burst into an embarrassment of tears. A friend says, one doesn't have grief. Grief has you. We wrestle to the mat. I'm pinned. But sometimes I break free, break patterns instead of dishes, start to write myself a new story, to fling myself toward yes, begin to say, oh, now this. Observe what life brings, reframe, say, I'm not wrestling grief. We are dancing. So I put my right foot in and turn myself about. Thank you for that silence, and we'll get to experience that again after the music following my reflection. Silence is such an important part of life, of healing, of grief, of joy, and to hold silence together in community. We were going to have longer periods and more silence in this service, as I said, as a retreat, until I realized coming closer to this Sunday that it would be so incomplete if I didn't offer some reflection after this month. You know, we entered into the month exploring grief, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. In fact, we schedule our monthly ministry themes and annual theme and the services long in advance, like this spring for next year we'll already be deciding things like themes. And when we got closer to February and I saw grief as the theme, which was the month before the annual campaign, which is next month, I thought, what was I thinking? That is not a good order of events. And yet, when I trust Spirit again and again, and I trust you, and I trust me, we're finding our way. And in fact, learning the deep, deep gifts of such a topic and our community. So here are my closing reflection, my closing words, closing reflection on this beautiful and unbelievable month. The first time I heard the heartbeat of the universe, the heartbeat of the universe, it's a thing. And the first time I heard it was during a period of intense and prolonged grief. Now, probably about 8 years ago. We were moving from our family home, which I've spoken of many times, our home in West Hartford, Connecticut, where we raised our children and had developed deep, deep ties and relationships developed over decades of living there. I had been grieving for months as we prepared to sell our home. I dealt with my children's rage that I was taking their home from them. As we said goodbye to friends, my sadness was very confusing to a lot of people, as I had actually instigated these changes. Some of them were brave enough to ask or say it. Others, I saw it in their eyes. What are you so sad about? Isn't this what you wanted? Why was I grieving when so much good was happening? So I was sure that no one wanted to hear any more about my grief. My friends had been amazing, yet I wondered, how much more can I ask of them? I bet you've been there too. How much more can I ask when I'm hurting from those who love me? So this particular warm spring afternoon in May, rather than call another friend or stuff it down with, I don't know, whatever I could find in the cupboard, I drove to a nearby monastery, Holy Family Retreat Center it's called. I was feeling very melancholy, and this was a place that I went for comfort. Pulling into the entrance, I promised myself a trip to the bookstore where I could get lost and distract myself for a bit. Buying the perfect book, surely that would ease the pain. I walked up to the door to find it locked, with a sign that read, "Closed. Sorry for the inconvenience." Sorry for the inconvenience? Do you know that you were going to save me? And there I was, me, myself, and I. Returning to my car, it was becoming more difficult to see as the tears, the hot, hot tears, were filling my eyes again. I opened the door to my car, I plopped into the seat, I folded my arms across the steering wheel, I put my head down, and I began to sob again. A minor inconvenience was all it took to rip my already breaking heart wide open. My car felt safe. No one could see me. I needed comfort so desperately. I needed people, and yet I felt I couldn't reach out for help. And then something happened that changed me to this day. As I literally lay on the steering wheel, I felt and heard the heartbeat of the universe. There's no other way to describe it. It was a primordial, deep sound coming from around me, even though the engine was turned off. I stopped crying and let the sound hold me. I sat there for several minutes, I actually don't know how long, feeling that holding, deeply comforted, feeling and hearing that the thud, the thud, the thud. I still feel that heartbeat whenever I drop down and into my body and tune in. Once discovered, it is not lost. To me, it is the feminine heartbeat of creation. God, universe, nature, creative, strong, comforting, ever present. I'm sure science can explain it. Francis Weller writes, remembering the wisdom of grief allows us to cultivate faith in a deeper pulse within the soul. And through this, we're able to lean into the world and trust the deeper currents that move through all things. The deeper currents that move through all things. I don't exactly remember when, but one of those times, between the rituals and the tears and the letters and the feelings and the heartbeat of the universe, my heart sewed back up again. And I tell you this for a place of hope, that once that happened, and it took months, I no longer hold that grief. I hold love. I hold deep gratitude. We go back, we were there yesterday, seeing our granddaughter. But it's only joy now. It's only joy. Our ministry theme this month of grief clearly has struck a chord. I'm honored and slightly surprised by how deeply this topic has resonated with so many of you. I have been incredibly moved by your notes, your cards, your emails, sharing your experiences with me. There is a great group of people interested in exploring grief together through a year-long monthly gathering called Interior Landscapes. We'll be going through Francis Weller's 5 Gates of Grief together, using a curriculum that includes personal reflection, sharing, communal ritual. Weller reminds us that we learn to apprentice grief through meaningful rituals, a community of friends, some time in benevolent solitude, and effective practices that help us stretch into our bigger selves. There's still time to join if you'd like to email me. And not joining is also good. There is no one way to grieve. Other things I've learned over this month are that some of you have shared with me your experiences of using the wind phone from our first service that is now in our robing room behind the pulpit and through those magical white doors. It's in there. I even had a child share with me that she spoke with her father, who has died. It's going to stay there for as long as we want it to. I also found and highly recommend this novel. It's entitled The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World. It is a novel by Laura Amaya Messina about the wind phone, but it is a novel, and it is so well written and remarkably light and easy reading, which is quite miraculous as it deals with fairly heavy issues. Reading this book from this Japanese author over this month was like having a companion on this journey. I hope you may be using the journal from our first worship service. I know a few of you sent me photographs of what you've done with yours. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you'll use it at another time or another purpose. Maybe you didn't pick one up. Maybe you weren't here. It's all good. Trust your path and timing and way. It's been a sad month for us as a congregation as we mourned the loss of 2 beloved members, Howard Fairweather and Merrill Maleska Wilbur. I wonder if you know that you are holding me today, as Merrill isn't online, probably for the first service since I've been here. So you get to hold me. That's what we do for one another. Friends, strangers, family, humans. Your love for Howard and Merrill, their families and each other is evidence of how important this community is and how we care for one another. It's also been a very difficult month for me personally, which I wasn't in a position to share quite yet, but will a little bit today. Ironically, through this month of grief, not only did I accompany these families through their loss and grief, and closely with Merrill, I also have been accompanying my very dearest friend through the cancer diagnosis that she's living with that has only recently come. A time of waiting and testing and more testing. Recently, we got our first piece of good news in 6 weeks. The breast cancer had not moved to the lung. The tumor was benign. And when I was driving to go swimming Friday afternoon, which is a sacred transition right there, but I'm driving there and I see this text and I call her up, right? As again, we've just one test led to the next, and until this moment had been not good news. I called her up and I said, I've never been so happy that you have breast cancer in my life. And she laughed. My family also feared that my father's cancer had taken a significant turn for the worse and that we were possibly looking at his final days. Thank goodness that hadn't happened, though he still lives with many different challenges, including cancer, and we know his time is limited. So we're choosing instead to treasure every day that we have together. It's been hard. And the love of people has been surprising and beautiful. What I want to share is a story about someone. So I was in that odd place. We're always in our own process and timing. I wasn't in a place where I could say anything particularly about my father, which was in many ways weighing the heaviest. We have a complex and deep relationship, not simple. And I went to my chiropractor, broke down crying, sobbing, telling him it was all confidential, and he loved me, as he does. And I went out to the front desk, and the woman at the front desk went to take my credit card and said, innocently, "How are you?" Oh. I just started sobbing. And I said through my tears, "Then I can't tell them, and my congregation doesn't know, and this is happening." And I wept, and I wept, and I opened my eyes to find her weeping with me. And 2 days later, I received a handwritten note from her in the mail. Now, mind you, other than scheduling appointments and putting the credit card in, I don't really know her very well. And it reads in part from this stranger, "Know that you are not alone. You have graced me with a rare peek into your life, and I am honored by it. Never forget that you are important. And unexpected people care and are willing to hold a hand when needed. That is love. So I'll say those things to each of you. Never forget that you are important. Unexpected people care and are willing to hold a hand when needed." How has your month been? Please know that so many of us care and are here to walk with you, however that may look, whatever it means for you. To what and to whom do you turn in challenging times? I turn to my family and friends, my dog, spiritual practices, and nature. I turn to all of you. I turn to community and love and God, as I understand God. I turn to good books, cozy blankets, long swims, and candles burning beside me as I work. I turn and I turn again, till by turning I come round right. So may we turn together. Amen.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I'm no longer tired, no longer weak. Yes, I am strong. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on, dear Lord, through the night. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. So it's been quite a month. So much happening. I'm taken to some words of Robert Bly, who was one of the leaders of the men's movement a long time ago. And he talked about grief and sorrow, and he said, "Be with it, don't drop anchor. Keep moving. Keep it moving." But that's where the healing happens, as we're willing to be with it and willing to let ourselves be wherever we are in the moment. And so we close today by singing Peace Like a River. I know we sang it last week, but seemed like the right thing. However, we're singing some different words today, kind of reflective on this journey we've been on. And we'll start with a nice, slow, gentle lilt. And it's okay to sway. And it's okay to snap your fingers if that feels like the right thing. It's okay to let yourself be held. Let yourself be held by this river that we're going to go wandering down. So that first verse, I've got peace like a river. But if you don't feel like you're quite at the peace place yet, that's okay. You can also sing, I'm looking for peace like a river. I'm looking for peace like a river. And then we'll come to the next verse. I've cried tears to fill an ocean. I've cried tears to fill an ocean. And then we start maybe just bumping up the tempo a little tiny bit. with that next verse of I've got hope. No. I've got courage to go on. These words are on, I think, maybe on the third page in your order of service. I've got courage to go on. But maybe if you feel like you don't quite have that courage yet, that's all right. I'm looking for courage to go on. Be true to yourself wherever you are with that. And then we come on up, we bump it up a little more. I've got hope of the ages. I've got hope of the ages. And we come back around then to peace like a river. So stand as you're able in spirit or body, and let yourself sway and be held and be carried by this beautiful river.
Please remain standing as we join our voices in our unison benediction, and Stephen Wolf extinguishes the chalice. I also want to remind you, you can have ice cream in your belly if you join us downstairs. And I'm sure you'll join me in thanking Alan for being our guest this morning as we created this service together. Okay, unison benediction. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. My friends, we never truly leave. We are always interconnected. We are always one with the love that holds us. As a part of this beloved community, this sacred space, the earth, our family, our friends, the creatures, we are indeed held by the heartbeat of the universe. Go in peace, my friends. Return again in great joy. Amen and blessed be.